Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Unplugged and Uncut, the new source for sports news and entertainment. You are live with your boy Unique, and today we're going to get into a proposed trade between the Chicago Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to break the trade down, see if it's an actual good proposed trade. The trade we're looking at today is coming from NBA analysts. That way, if you want to break it down and read it yourself, you can as well. So let's look at this trade and see how it could affect both teams. The proposed trade is sending Coby White and his expiring deal with a 2024 first-round pick to the Spurs in return for Jakob Poeltl. Now, this is very interesting for a number of reasons. So Jakob Poeltl is a center, and the Bulls are kind of loaded at center. Coby White is a point guard, and the Spurs could use a point guard. So from that dynamic, it's kind of interesting. But we think this could be a good trade for both teams. Looking at the ESPN trade machine, we see that after doing this trade, with the rosters constructed, the Chicago Bulls actually get a lot better. And the Spurs get worse, which might be what both teams are trying to do. The Bulls increased their wins by 6, and the Spurs increased their losses by 8, getting them closer to a top draft pick. However, for this trade to work, I think the Bulls will need to reach out to a team like the New York Knicks or even the Spurs, who after this trade would have no centers on the roster. And that could be what the Spurs are looking to do, embrace small ball. And when we look at the Spurs lineup, we will compare that to another team that plays a smaller lineup. So if I'm the Bulls, I'm looking to trade one of those centers for future assets or another young player that fits my roster. As a starting lineup, you have a few options. You can run Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic at the 4, Jakob Poeltl at the 5. Vucevic has the ability to play outside, and you could let Jakob be your roll or your pick and roll man and your rim runner. So that could work. However, if Nikola Vucevic is not being able to keep up with the 4s, you can make an early switch to Patrick Williams. Now, that also keeps the pressure off of Patrick Williams of having to be a starter and allows him to come back from injury at a more relaxed pace without having so much pressure. You could also look to a team like the Atlanta Hawks, if you're the Bulls, who have a John Collins there, sitting at a similar price tag of Nikola Vucevic, where you might be able to leverage his expiring deal for John Collins, a power forward who can also stretch the floor, is not going to demand 20 shots a game, but can still get you 15 to 20 points a game. And is not a bad defender. Now, he's not Jakob Poeltl on the defense, but I think John Collins is a slight upgrade over Nikola Vucevic on the defense. Now, Vuce might go ahead and get you 30 points, so he's got the edge on the offense. So that's the team I would run with, and you would have a very versatile bench as well that would be headlined by the Caruso, Dalen Terry, Derrick Jones Jr., Patrick Williams, Andre Drummond, to mention a few. So I think the Bulls could compete. If you trade for Jakob Poeltl, he's on an expiring deal. You're probably going to want to extend him. And I would try and extend him quick and in a hurry to get that deal done at a low price point. If I'm the Bulls, I want to keep the price range around 13 to 17 million over a 2-year period. 26 to 34 million combined would be the total annual sitting at 13 to 17 max. I don't think I'd pay over 17 million for Jakob Poeltl, and if I can get him at that 13, 2 for 13, and 26 total, that is a total win. Jakob Poeltl was the number 2 rated defensive player in the NBA, and you combine him with Lonzo Ball, that really helps out Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Now, DeRozan is no slouch on defense. His defense is a little bit underrated. I'm not saying he's a lockdown defender, but he is going to give effort on the defensive end. Now, like all players, they take a play off here and there. So we're not gonna knock NBA players' effort on defense. That's a whole nother story. But I think that lineup could work for the Bulls and definitely would want to reach out to another team to get rid of a center. And if they were able to do that, I would say this would be an A for the Bulls. I would grade it an A. As sitting and presently constructed, I give it a B plus, because even Hollinger's analysis says you're going to win more games having the ability to play better defense. You already got plenty of scoring and offensive firepower between DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic. Adding Jakob to go with Lonzo Ball, that really shores up your defense. Now, let's look at this trade from the Spurs' point of view. So for the Spurs, you're getting Kobe White and a 2024 first-round pick. That's not bad. You're getting another draft asset, which is something you wanted for Jakob. Now, the bonus is you're getting a point guard in Kobe White, who is also on an expiring deal and gives you a chance to see if you want to use that expiring contract as a trade asset or if you think that he fits your timeline. Now, both Jakob and Kobe White are both young. Neither one of these guys are old. So Kobe White is just a little younger. Now, with Kobe White on the team, the lineup I would probably run would be Blake Wesley, Kobe White, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan. Now, the reason I would start these 5 players is because I don't know how much longer Greg Popovich would be coaching, and this type of lineup allows the Spurs to maximize their players' potential. It gives the young guys a chance to go ahead and get into the water and see if they can swim or if they're going to sink. Now, if you look real closely, I said I was going to compare the Spurs roster to a team that plays small. So Kobe White's ability to shoot the 3 is very important in this analysis. So Kobe White, with at least 1 year of Chip there, because you know Chip, if you don't know, guys, Chip has said he's going to leave the Spurs after this year, or after his contract runs up, which I do believe is this year. So Kobe White gets 1 year with Chip, increases his three-point percentage from 37 to 40. That could be your poor man Steph Curry. You're going to have to get him to watch Steph Curry film, some Rip Hamilton, some Reggie Miller, and some of that off-ball movement. Being able to get a quick shot off like Klay Thompson, moving without the ball. So that's who I would have him studying and watching. I would run Blake Wesley not as a point guard, but as a point of attack. So Jeremy Sohan, Draymond-esque. Not saying he's Draymond Green, but he is a player that is going to focus on defense and is able to make plays from that point forward or point center position, especially with the player like Blake Wesley running point of attack, downhill get buckets. Having a player like Jeremy Sohan who can move the ball really becomes key. This lineup also keeps Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson in a position where they can be the go-to guys and continue their ascension in the NBA. So this, to me, maximizes the potential on this roster. I would actually run a 12-man lineup as presently constructed. I will let Trey Jones, Josh Primo, Malachi Brannon, Dominic Barlow, Zach Collins, Isaiah Roby, and in my opinion, Darius Day has earned at least a 2-way contract. Those are the 12 players I would run in my everyday rotation. Nobody would get over 30 minutes or even close to 30 minutes. Romeo Langford, not sure how he fits in on this roster, so we'll see what happens there. I would believe Jay Rich and Doug McBuckets would be next on the chopping block. I would focus on those 12 players. All 12 of these guys, even Zach Collins, are very young and would get a lot of playing time. And instead of the Spurs playing the tank, they could play to win. They just wouldn't be good enough to win. So they could play to win and still maximize the potential of their youth and their youngsters getting a chance to play under Greg Popovich as opposed to playing in Austin in the G League. Getting a chance to see what it's like to go up against real NBA players. So getting back to Kobe White, I would have him on a prove it type year or use him as an expiring trade asset. If I'm trying to extend Kobe White, I want to push this contract out 4 years as opposed to the 2 with Jakob. And I would try to keep this contract between 7 to 13 million, where it'd be 28 to 52 over 4 years. And I would max it out at 15 million, no more than 60 over 4 years. That'd be my max offer for Kobe White. I would prefer to keep it in that 7 to 13 range, 28 to 52. However, if you think he could be your poor man Steph Curry, maxing him out at 15 million for 4 years, could have a lot of contract value, a la DeJounte Murray, if you do not want to keep him on your roster, but you develop him into a really good player. Kobe White has some all-star potential, like the article writes. His highest points per game was at 15. However, he did have to take a step back once DeMar DeRozan came in to partner with Zach LaVine. Just wasn't as many shots available for Kobe White. So for this type of trade, I would actually give the Spurs an A as well. So both teams would come out with an A for me grade in this trade. Now, the Bulls as standing, I did say a B+, but with the moves that we pointed out, if they're able to just go ahead and move one of those excessive centers, then this trade easily becomes an A, and they've increased their win total by 6. So it's no denying that the Bulls would be better, and this is an excellent move that they could make, and then they would actually be able to keep Jakob beyond just next year for multiple years at an affordable rate. And then you're not worried about your center, and you got Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Jakob with Patrick Williams as your future starting lineup, because Nikola Vucevic is on his last year in an expiring deal. You could also move him for John Collins, like we mentioned, or a player like that, a power forward, somebody that fits the team a little bit better, bringing in Jakob. So Bull fans, how do y'all feel about this trade? Are y'all willing to give up on Kobe White to bring in a win now player like Jakob? Do you agree with Hollinger's analysis that the Chicago Bulls are 6 wins better? Spurs fans, do you like losing 8 more games? I do. And only this season though, only this year. So how do y'all feel about this trade? Do you like the starting lineup that I put out there? Would you start some different players? Or would you try to maximize the potential of the players you have on your team to play under Greg Popovich as well? And not worry about where the win-losses might fall, but worry about trying to win and experience. And not to mention you got that 2024 first-round pick. So, how do you guys feel about this? Let me know in the comments. But that's all we got for this blockbuster trade proposal between the Chicago Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs. Your boy is out. Peace.